Hello everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I'm David Jones. If you haven't watched any of these before, we run them every Friday, usually at 2:30 UK time. We'll have a look at what major announcements are due out next week. Then we'll look at the major markets, indices, currencies, gold, oil, some commodities maybe, and Bitcoin. And then if there's any stuff you want looking at, if you put it in the chat here on YouTube, we'll take a look at them once we looked at that. So we had the payrolls, the US unemployment figures came out an hour ago. I think the expectation was for 185,000 jobs to have been added in the US economy in November. Came in at 199,000. Quite a bit of volatility. I mean, here's the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq traded down to what, 15,880. And has bounced back a bit. I often say, we get this headless chicken market reaction to the payrolls. Personally, I never change trade over the payrolls. I normally want things to settle down and see what it looks like after. So it's been an hour now. So we'll see if there's anything interesting to trade as we're going through today. It's been an okay week for me for trading. I've traded the FTSE. I made a bit on the FTSE on the way up. Bit of a choppy week though for the FTSE. I went short the Nasdaq here on Wednesday, so made a bit there on the way down. I was hoping it was going to sell off a bit deeper. It hasn't so far. I've come out of that. I'm in a gold trade at the moment that's underwater. I bought gold earlier this week. We had that crazy move, didn't we, on Friday? So let's see. Let's see how it all is. But as usual, let's just get into it. Let's get some of the housekeeping done. This presentation is only for educational purposes. It does not contain and should not be construed as containing investment advice or an investment recommendation or an offer of or solicitation for a transaction in any financial instrument. David Jones accepts no responsibility for any use that may be made of these comments and for any consequences that result. You should consider whether you understand how spread bets, CFDs, futures, foreign exchange work, and whether you can afford to take the high risk of losing your money. Trading is risky. Okay. So next week, what have we got? We've got quite a bit next week. Wednesday's the big one, I think. But Tuesday, we've got UK unemployment data due out. We've got US inflation data out. I mean, that could be big. Inflation, I think, is still a topic for markets. And of course, all ties in to what's happening on Wednesday. So Wednesday, we've got the latest US interest rate decision coming out Wednesday evening, my time. Normally guaranteed a bit of volatility over that as usual. It will be more about how the US central bank, the Fed, sees things over the next few months from an economy and an interest rate point of view. So that's a big one. And then on Thursday, we've got UK and European interest rates. So plenty going on from Tuesday of next week. Let's see how market reacts. It can be perhaps something of an odd time of year as the countdown to Christmas gets underway, but plenty next week coming out. Let's see what it looks like, what markets look like after that. But Wednesday is the big one. A quick plug from me from the trading course I do. I've been running it for a few years now. It covers medium-term trading and shorter-term trading. Medium-term trading for me, I hold trades for weeks and sometimes months. I came out of a sugar trade this week that I've been in since July. There are 11 video lessons on that. Shorter term trading is the stuff I do day to day, like the Nasdaq trade earlier this week and the FTSE trade earlier this week, all that stuff. So that's holding positions, not usually for hours. They normally run for at least a couple of days, my shorter term trades, and there are 7 video lessons on that. There are lots of live webinars direct with me as part of the trading course. And there's a WhatsApp group as well that I run, that I update every day. And we have loads of questions backwards and forwards in that. I think I've said before, I think, trading courses are a minefield. I've worked in and around the trading business for 20 years. I think a lot of trading courses are run by people who don't actually trade or who maybe placed 3 trades in their life and thought, actually, maybe selling trading courses is the more profitable approach here. This time last year, November through to January, I traded an account. You can see the details if you go back to the YouTube channel, with £4,000 in. By the end of January, closed profits were just under 2,200. You can see the P&L chart. I did the whole thing again, May to July this year with a £5,000 account. I need to update this screenshot because it's a bit blurry. But the profits realised there were 3,116. You can see the P&L chart at the bottom. You know, so hopefully if you've watched any of the stuff I do on YouTube over the years, you know that I am a profitable trader. I do it every day. Not every month is profitable. I typically have, or so far this year, I've had 2 losing months, February and August. December has been profitable so far. Let's see. We're only a week into December, aren't we? Hopefully it ends up being another profitable month. The WhatsApp group, I opened this up to everybody. So you can join it without doing the course if you want to. And in the WhatsApp group, you get a daily update from me, what markets I'm looking at today, what looks interesting. I talk about what trades I've got running. Am I moving stop losses? How's the trades doing? All that sort of stuff. What other stuff I might be looking at trading that day? And there's just a back and forth Q&A session throughout the day as well. If people have any questions, I'm always on hand to answer them. If you want to sign up for the WhatsApp group, if you use the code YouTube, it's £50 a month. But if you use the code YouTube, you get 25% off the first month. So if you want to try it, you can try it. That's a snapshot of what the WhatsApp group looks like, an update from me. They're a bit longer than that these days. I seem to have got a bit more verbose as time has gone on. I've got 5-star Trustpilot reviews for the trading course. I do send a newsletter out. I know I say this every week, and then I never send it. I do send it out now and again. That is free. If you go to the website, davidjonestrading.co.uk, you can put your email in there and you can subscribe to the newsletter. And the newsletter, typically, I talk about what markets look interesting, what I'm thinking about trading. There's a trading tip in there as well. I might send it out this week because I've got a bit of time this weekend. So I might actually sit down and send that out this week. And it's all on the website, davidjonestrading.co.uk. Right, let's get into it and see what's been going on. It has felt like a bit of a funny week. Let's start off as usual, stock market indices. I mean, you can see, look at that. There's the S&P, daily chart of the S&P, and look at the candles over the last week. So this was last Friday, the big green one, last Friday, and it's just sideways, isn't it? I mean, pretty sideways and pretty low volatility over the last week. So I don't know. You know, I went short the Nasdaq this week. I don't have any other trades on stock markets at the moment. I think it's interesting up here. You know, if the market, the S&P was going to run out of steam anyway, then perhaps we're here. We're back up at the summer highs. So going short up here. With a stop above, stop above 46.11, 46, somewhere above that could be one idea. It is overbought on the RSI, but we were overbought on the way up here and the market carried on going up. So I'm still a bit on the fence with stock markets. I think short term there are opportunities like the S&P. When it got knocked back, I put this in the WhatsApp group yesterday, it got knocked back to the lows for the last week. We saw the buyers come back in, blah, blah, blah. And here we are. So that but it's all a bit rangy for me. So nothing too exciting there. Same with the Nasdaq. There's the Nasdaq. Let's just tidy this up. We're trading where we were on the 20th of November. So we've had 2.5 weeks of just sideways choppiness, really. I still sort of favour shorts on the Nasdaq. We had been, the reason I did the short earlier this week, I did it in there. The market had been trending lower for the last few days. Excuse me. This level had been a barrier and blah, blah, blah. So I had stops above here and it did okay. And you can see again yesterday, I had a little look through that level, 16,017, and it sold off again. It's the payroll, so it's a bit funny. Let's see how it is this afternoon. So yeah, that's it really. Bit dull. US stock markets. The Russell, the small cap, that's been interesting. Again, it is in this sideways range for the last, what is it now? Almost 18 months, isn't it? And we're sort of halfway up the range. So what do you do? For me, do nothing. The opportunity was perhaps down here. So yeah, not a lot going on there. The DAX, the DAX has been incredible. The German DAX, look at this, breakout, all-time highs. on the DAX. Incredible performance. So on the DAX, I absolutely would have to be buy the dips for this one. The market's gone from 14.6 at the end of October to 16.7. 2,000 point move in the DAX, which is about 13%, 14% in the space of about 5 weeks. Heck of a move in the DAX. Hardly looks back as well. Just continues to power higher. And even as we're doing this now, it's setting fresh all-time highs. That really is a strong market. The Italy 40, the Italian market, is a bit the same as well. I need to redraw that trend line a little bit, but these are interesting markets, much more interesting at the moment to me than the S&P and the Nasdaq. We've got all-time highs in the Italian market, so European stock investors have never had it so good. So I think it's interesting, given that perhaps some of the European, the German economy is not in the best of shape. But does the DAX really reflect the German economy? I don't know. The FTSE 100 isn't a reflection of the UK economy. So it all depends, of course, what companies are in there. But I think that's an interesting momentum in these markets, in those two. Talking of the FTSE, pretty boring. I just got to move on today. I traded it this week, like I said. I bought into the trend this week. I came out on the wiggles the middle of the week. But powering higher again today. But again, overall for the year, pretty sideways, the FTSE. But a nice trend going on at the moment. Up at 75.69 at the moment. I bought in, where did I buy this week? 74.80, something like that, down there. And came out on this sell-off the next day. And it came all the way back and it's bounced again. So a bit scrappy, perhaps for me. But a really good trend over the last month or so. In the FTSE. So that's it. So stock markets, US stock markets, a bit stuck and a bit sideways. European stock markets, the Italian and the German that we looked at there, really strong. FTSE, as usual, still doing its own thing. Still all a bit sideways. Let's take a look at currencies. The dollar index. I think this is interesting. I was expecting this market to power higher after we had those highs in October, and it's just gone into reverse again. So what do you do here? I think that there is absolutely an argument for being short or being long. If you take the view, well, the trend from the beginning of November is down and is still down. Are we going to see this market run out of steam ahead of these highs here? 104.55 sort of levels, those sort of highs there. Maybe that's an area to watch next week. But if you look on the hourlies, we had a bit of volatility yesterday. But, since the end of November, it is a market that has been trying to push higher. So definitely, depending on what time frame you're trading, there are, I think there's an argument for being short or long. I don't know. I'd probably, in the short term, I'd still rather be long than short. This has been a big barrier, 104.50, as we can see, going back to mid-November. Let's see what happens. And of course, this then just feeds into so many other markets as well, the dollar, because it is all a bit... could go up or could go down for me. Dollar yen's a great example. That we saw dollar get clobbered this week on the threat. Was it the threat of rate rises or intervention by the central bank in Japan, the Bank of Japan? Whatever. Big move though in dollar yen yesterday. But the big trend for dollar yen is still up for this year. So is this a buying opportunity? I would say it is. So I'd be looking to buy the dip in dollar yen. Perhaps not today, but perhaps next week as a medium-term trade. I think it's an interesting one to see what happens there. And if we look at something like euro, US dollar, I've got too many lines on there. Let's tidy that up. Again, I think this is a bit mixed. We did have the recovery going from here. That's still going off the October lows. So we're 2 months into that. It's sold off a lot. It sold off 250 points this month. I'd still be looking to buy the dip, but at the moment it's still dipping. So I think it's a tricky one to call. The same with perhaps pound against the dollar. I think we did see this trend reverse in early November and it's raced away. I wanted to buy it, but it raced away without me. I would be a buyer of the dip. Let's see. Let's see what happens. So there's lots of markets at the moment for me that are just wait and see. I put in the WhatsApp group this morning, there was only a couple of markets I was watching today for trades because everything else was just all a bit mixed. And, that happens from time to time in markets. It's not going to be exciting all the time. And I think for me, it's one of those times where Well, let's wait and see what happens. New Zealand dollar, I think, was one I was looking at earlier this week. Again, a great trend in that. That looks like it's breaking down now. We had a good trend in New Zealand dollar, US dollar, all the way up from mid-November, and has really, just been quite volatile and sidewaysy over this week. So it's all a bit, I don't know at the moment. So let's talk about oil. Big sell-off in oil, despite these production cuts from OPEC. So OPEC announces it's going to cut production, but the price of oil still plummets. So earlier this week, yesterday, the price of oil, this is US crude, traded as low as 68.90. So back to levels not seen since June. So we went back to a 5-month low on the oil price. The trend is still down. I would say if it's going to rally from anywhere, then we're pretty much, perhaps we're here. So from a longer term point of view, perhaps it's interesting to think about buying the dip in oil, but I'd be in no hurry because for now it's still weak. So it's another market where I'm in no hurry to do anything much at the moment. If we look on the hourlies, there's the downtrend from, how high did it get? $95 in September, and a little over 2 months later, it briefly dipped below 60. It's a big old move, isn't it? What's that? 20%, 25% move, nearly, in the price of oil, down in the last couple of months. So for me, I would still be a seller of strength. If we've got a decent rally next week, I'd perhaps look to go short. So again, great if you're in the trend. Tricky for me at the moment to decide what I would do. Natural gas, I was long natural gas. I got stopped out yesterday. That trade for me never really went the right way from as soon as I put it on. But I put it on thinking, sort of back here probably, maybe a bit lower, maybe about there, whatever. Thinking we had this recovery going on in natural gas from May, bang, 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 sells off, hits these, broke out through the old highs at 3, pushed higher, and bang, it has just carried on lower. So another interesting one perhaps for next week. Does this move through the summer lows end up being a false break? I don't know, but one to watch next week. But for me, for now, that trend off those highs still looks to be down. So I'd be a bit cautious about doing too much there. So that's natural gas. So yeah, really throwing that recovery into question this week. Gold, we had that crazy move on Sunday night, early Monday morning in gold. Let me just get some of these lines off. Very briefly all-time highs on gold, and then gave it up again. Gold does not seem to like, over the years, spending much time above $2,000 an ounce. This is going back to August 2020. So the last 3 years, any moves above 2,000 haven't lasted long. Let's see what happens. I'm long. I bought gold earlier this week around $2,020. I've got a wide-ish stop on it. Let's see what happens with that one. It's still pretty weak today. It'll be interesting to see how that gets on as the day goes on. But I was looking at that sort of trend there, I suppose, on the hourly charts, something like that. And it's just going through that trend now. I mean, I would, one of my approaches is always to give breaks in trends another chance for the trend to resume. Let's see what happens though. It's pretty weak at the moment. And then silver. I was dying to short this rally in silver, but it turned round a bit too quick for me. So I was watching it on the break. So that was the downtrend in silver from May of this year. And it broke that downtrend. And I thought, right, I want to go short here when it stops going up. But it carried on going up for a few days. So I never got short. And then we had that big turnaround. And I was waiting for a rally to go short. But anyway, it hasn't happened. And it's gone all the way back to 23. So clearly, $26, still a big barrier for silver. It has been sideways and a bit messy this year. Yet again, silver really, it was an amazing move from 21 in October to nearly 26. It's a massive move. But, if you've watched silver over the years, it definitely does have the ability to disappoint and just do its own thing. Let's have a look at what that trend looks like off those October lows. I suppose it's a bit similar to the gold trend, isn't it? There we go. I mean, it is interesting next week if it does, if we do see it weaken a bit further, there's a lot of support coming in. So let's see what happens. I could be tempted to be a buyer of the dip second time round on silver after missing the dip and also missing the opportunity to go short. Let's see what happens with that one. But another market where for me there's not a reason to do too much a compelling reason to do too much at the moment. And Bitcoin of course continues to break. If you've watched, I've been following this trend on Bitcoin all this year. The trend has been up, dipped down to whatever it was, 26,000 in September, and here we are at 44. All aboard the Bitcoin train for the run back up to 68, maybe. Let's see. So on Bitcoin, I'd much rather buy a dip. I don't really like chasing markets. I think a dip in Bitcoin will be interesting. We'll see how convinced all the hodlers are for Bitcoin. But let's see what happens with that one. So a bit of a mixed bag. In stock markets, we've got to look to Europe, I think, to see real strength in stock markets at the moment. Everything else has been, if you look at the S&P and the Nasdaq, all been a bit sideways over the last week. So not too much exciting for me in there. Dollar index could go either way, and of course that has an impact on so many other markets. So I do think that I probably won't be doing any trades later on today, and perhaps not till Tuesday, perhaps Monday. Monday will be a day of watching and see what goes on, and perhaps there's some trades there going to be there for me on Tuesday. I normally do about 20 trades in a month, so it does average out at one per day. But there are definitely days when I don't do anything, when I look at it and think, do you know what? I've got no idea what's going on, so I'm going to wait and see what happens. So that's that. The trades we've got running in a YouTube trading account. So this is real money. These are trades that I do on the live streams. I think we did this one last week. The Japanese 225. Yeah, the 1st of December. So I went short last week up here somewhere. That's done all right. So I've moved the stop to break even on that. There's a couple of quite a few old shares trades still in there that have done okay. The short Goldman Sachs, I thought I would have been stopped on that one by now, but clearly not. So not almost getting stopped out on that. I was banking on it running out of steam, but it hasn't so far. So that's the one loser at the moment. So everything else is up. So at the moment, that count is running just over £1,000 in open profit. So that's done okay. And the Nikkei, the Japanese 225 trade from last week, we didn't look at that, did we? It was doing all right. Let's have a quick look at that on the dailies. I think that was a really sensible short. I thought, we banged up to these old levels from June, run out of steam, and the market has turned, even though the trend for 2023 is still up. That was the reason, I think, for doing that trade last week. Let's see. I'll just stick with that trade and see what happens. So that's the markets. Bit of a mixed bag, I think. Like I say, if you want to try the WhatsApp group, you can subscribe for a month if you want to, and try it for a 25% or 20% discount. 20%? I can't remember. 20% if you use the code YouTube. Go to the website. You can subscribe to the newsletter. You can see the trading course stuff I run. All of that. And all the links, as usual, are in the description to this video. Right, let's take a look at some of the stuff you weren't looking at. What do you think about RPM International? RPM International. Wait for a pullback for a long position. Let's have a look. RPM. I typed it wrong. RPM. I think that is interesting, isn't it? I would. Yeah, it's all a bit sideways, isn't it? Over the last year, really, isn't it? So it's gone as high as like 105, 106, and been sub $80. If I had to do anything now, I'd be thinking about going short, because we're back into the zone where it runs out of steam. So that would be the first trade I would be thinking about doing, but I'd wait for it to be a bit weaker. So again, not one for today for me, RPM. What do they do? Process Industries, whatever that is. But yeah, from a shorter term time frame, I'd still be buying the dip. So on an hourly chart, I'd still be buying the dip. I would want my stop probably at least at $100 on that one. So I wouldn't mind a decent dip. But more medium term, we have seen it fail up here twice before. It's just whether we think, is this time going to be any different? I don't know. I don't think so. So I would go short from a more medium-term trade. But yeah, if I wanted to be a buyer, I personally wait for the dip. Or if you could just pile in now, of course, if you think this is the breakout and the thing's really going to get a move on, piling in now, and I would have a stop at 100 is what I would do. So as ever, there are always two sides to the coin, aren't there? It's never, clear cut as to what we should do in markets. There's always a couple of ways that things could go. I'm using your short-term strategy, but my win rate is only 50%. I'm still profitable. Very good. Good to hear. But I wish I could achieve 60% win rate. What is your advice? I don't know. I mean, my win rate is only 58%. I've talked about it a lot on YouTube, and when I've shown the performances in the past, I had a much better win rate November to January last year. It was 66%, but that was definitely an outlier for me. If you look at the 3-month period from May to July this year, May, June, July, 3 months, that was at 58%. So that 58% is pretty standard for me. I would say you've done the course, which is great, and you're profitable. Great endorsement for me, and you, of course, for actually doing it. I wouldn't beat myself up too much about it. I think if you're profitable with a 50% win rate, the name of the game is being profitable. It's not about having a higher than 50% win rate. I think it will probably improve if you carry on doing what you're doing. And I think for me, what made the difference is eliminating some of the sort of 50-50 type trades. So I didn't particularly get better at trade selection, picking winning trades. I just got better not doing so many losing trades. So I think that comes with experience. Just carry on doing what you're doing. Let's not forget, 75% of people lose money. So if you're making money, you're so far ahead of the game compared to most people. Yeah, so I wouldn't be in a hurry to change it too much. But, perhaps look back at some of your trades over the month and think, well, would I really have done that one? And that for me was what changed, but just being a little bit more selective. But my win rate, is stubbornly sticks at just below 60%. So not even 6 out of 10 trades make money. So it's only slightly ahead of your 50%. I don't even think about it, to be honest. As long as it sits there and crunches out a profit, that's the important one for me. But it's a fair question. But again, I wouldn't tinker too much to try and improve my win rate, because you don't want a 60% win rate, but then you end up losing because you're not getting the bigger winners, and perhaps you're missing out on some of the good trades. Yeah, but it's always an interesting one. I spend a lot of time thinking about that maths side of trading rather than charts and all of that, and how to improve and slightly tweak things. So I think it's a really fair question, but I think it will probably get better over time, but I wouldn't worry too much about it, personally. I bought XOM at 102.5. Okay, XOM, which is ExxonMobil. Although I know the oil trend is down, I hope it works for me. Bought it at 102.5. Okay, it's interesting, that one. I mean, so there's ExxonMobil going back to October 2020. So we've got 3 years of ExxonMobil. I mean, I would be tempted to be thinking about being a buyer. I think another one for me, a bit of a wait and see one, because we're right back down to these lows. So you bought them at 102.5, only a bit above where we are now. I think it's really interesting down here. We saw Exxon get knocked back in March to these lows and then rallied about 20%. The big trend for me is still just about up on ExxonMobil. I think it's an interesting medium-term trade, investment, whatever we want to call it. You could absolutely argue that the trend is still down for now off those highs. So if we put that in, there we go. The trend is still down. So perhaps be a bit patient, but I think it's interesting down here. Let's come back to it perhaps in the new year and see where it is. But for me, I would be thinking about being a buyer rather than a seller, because we are on such a big level. So I think it is an interesting one down here. Chewy Inc. What do they do? Chewy. Retail trade, internet retail. Well, whatever they do, they're not doing very well at it, are they? is what we can say from that. I've never heard of this lot. Let's see who they are. Chewy. Are they chocolate chip cookies? Pet food and all that stuff. Okay, fair enough. So they went ballistic in the old COVID times. So $120, and here we are down at 19. So they've lost about 85% since then. I don't like them. It won't surprise you to hear that. You know, these stocks that fall off a cliff, I'm never a fan of them. You could argue, I suppose, perhaps the trend is changing. Did we have earnings out? We've had a little bit of volatility, haven't we? So earnings, we had a negative surprise to the earnings, but they did recover off that. Fewer people are adopting pets. That's what we all need to go out and adopt a cockapoo to help Chewy's share price. It's a wait and see for me. If I absolutely had to buy them, I would put a stop underneath the low of $16.50 if I had to buy them now at $18.90, whatever it is. But it's still really weak, isn't it? You know, so yeah, it's not one for me. Another one, I think, for perhaps the new year to see where it's trading them. But that's what I would do if I really fancied a punt on them. I would go stops below that one, 16.5. Let's see what's going on with M3. What is M3? M3. I don't think it's that, is it? If you want to tell me what the stock is or what the market is, because M3 is not coming up for me. M3 Mining, Australia, is it that one? Don't know. If you want to just put in what you think it might be, what it is. Can we look at Dell after its dip following the earnings with midweek? Yeah, let's have a look at those. I remember you talking about those in the WhatsApp this week. Let's have a look. Dell, I'd buy it. There we go. We're going to do that now. It's interesting, isn't it? I like that. So the trend is up from March 2023. Bang, bang, bang. Earnings earlier this week. Were surprise on the earnings and a negative surprise on the revenue. Got knocked back, have stabilised. For me, the trend is still up, so I am going to treat that weakness as a buying opportunity. So we're going to buy them. So my stop is going to go at least below 64, maybe a bit wider. Let's go 60. So we'll go 60, stop on Dell, and then take the view the market has overreacted to its earnings. The trend is still up, so away we go again. Let's do that trade. Dell. Obviously, do not blindly follow trades. That would be a really stupid thing to do. But let's buy Dell. So what did I say? I said stop loss 60, didn't I? Stop loss 60. I've got to buy 10.2. What's my risk? Okay, we'll buy 20. Buy 20 Dell. Where they're trading now, 69.19. Blah blah blah. Buy in 20. Stop loss at 60. Let's see if that ends up being a good trade. There we go. It's in there. Dell Technologies, just down there. But no, I like that one. Interesting. Let's see how that works out. I mean, these things do take a while to work out. You know, the CrowdStrike trade. I mean, I've been in that since down here. You know, you can see it since about August. So that trade has been running for like more than 3 months now. But it's up. What's it up in percentage terms? $90. It's up about, it's up 60%. What a cracking trade. I should just put all my money in that in the summer. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? So I, this is an example of my medium-term trading approach. I've got no interest in checking what CrowdStrike does, where CrowdStrike's price is every half an hour, because I'm trying to go with a bigger trend, and that would definitely be my approach. With this Dell trade, it's okay. Just before earnings came out, it traded up to its best levels since an awful long time. I've only got data going back to 2019. Maybe all-time highs, probably not all-time highs, but whatever. So the trend was strong. So for me, absolutely want to buy the pullback. And it went oversold for fans of the squiggles. So for me, perfectly logical trade to do, that one. And that's it, I think. No one's come back to me on the M3 doodah. So I don't know what that is. But yeah, the Dell trade looks a bit interesting. So it's a bit of it feels like a bit of an odd end to the week for me. There's not a lot jumping out at me. Looks like US markets are having a bit of bit of strength at the moment. Oh, it's all a bit messy though, isn't it? It's all a little bit messy. So yeah, not a lot really for me this afternoon. Let's see what Monday, Tuesday looks like. But all a bit scrappy, particularly with US stocks. European stocks still doing okay. That FTSE's done really well. Came out that far too early, but there we go. That's trading. PLTR, someone said. Is that Palantir? The technology services. Let's have a look. We've looked at those. They're an old darling, aren't they, from the past? And big moves. I would be thinking about being a buyer. So they traded as high as 45 in whenever it is, Jan 21. So nearly 3 years ago now. And we have had this breakout from this base and blah, blah, blah. I would buy it. Where would your stop go, though? I think if I was a buyer now, should we do this one as well? If I was a buyer now, a really conservative stop would be the other side of $13.50, this base. But that's perhaps, even by my standards, a bit too conservative. So what I might do is I'm going to do a calculated stop. I'm going to have to do the maths in my head very quickly. 3.5, 175, 14, 15.20. I'm going to go 15.20. So we're going to buy these with the stop at 15.20. So it has been moving higher. We did have a new high in November. So my bet is we're going to go back up to these highs. But if it drops to 15.20, I'm going to say that I'm wrong. So let's do that. Let's see if I've got any margin left in this account. Palantir Tech. I guess that's the right one, isn't it? Oh, I don't want the extended hours one. Oh, maybe I've got about 47 of them. That might be a bit too much for what I've got in this account. 15.20. I'm not 15. 15.2. Oh, I can do that. Oh, fair enough. I've just about got the margin. How much margin have I got left? Okay, let's bump that up a bit to 70. All right, bang, bang, bang. Buying up at 17.62. Stop at 15.20. Let's do the trades. Okay, done. Done that one. So we'll see. I think that's an interesting one. I think the Dell one is the purer trade, but the Palantir trade is interesting because it has been moving higher since May this year. You don't know what M3 is either. Okay, fair enough. Well, it's going to be a mystery, isn't it? So that's it then, I think, isn't it? If there's no more questions, we will wrap things up there. Like I say, if you want to try the WhatsApp group, try it, see what you think. I enjoy doing it. Hopefully everybody in it enjoys it as well. Use the code YouTube, and it's a hotline to me all day long. And it's my update as to what I think is going on in the market. So it's like this, but every day and a lot more interactive. So you can try that. Have a look at the trading course stuff I do. Sign up for the newsletter, which is free, and I might actually send it out this weekend. All on the website. All the details are in the doodah, the description. How is the dollar rand trade? I was stopped on the sell last week. I got stopped out as well. I moved I'll show you. I moved the stop down. There we go. I came out for a massive £37 profit. So I trailed the stop down. We did the trade the 24th of November in the live stream, because all of these trades in that account are all done in the live stream. So I did the trade the 24th of November. Where was it? Where's the 24th? Up here somewhere. There you go. It would have been here. So it was a good trade. Traded it down a bit. I moved the stop down just below break even and got stopped out on that bounce back. It's another one. What would you do now? I would probably go short now. Again. Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd go short again on that one, and I would put a stop. An aggressive stop would be just above 19, and a stop with a bit more wiggle would be above 19.30. So yeah, I came out of that. A lot of trades. It's nice when they really get a move on, like the CrowdStrike trade, but some trades unfortunately don't get a move on, and the dollar rand trade was one of those. We're already up 60 cents on the Dell trade. What a trading genius I am. We'll ignore the fact I'm down 70 cents on the Palantir trade. So let's see how they work out. We'll come back to it next week. Right, that's it, isn't it? We'll wrap it up there. Go to the website to find out more. I think there will be a live stream next week. I'm travelling back from somewhere next week, but I should be able to do the live stream. If I don't do it, what's the one after that? The 22nd. Is there much point in doing one 22nd December? Maybe. We'll squeeze something in, an end of year thing. So I'll do at least one more before the end of the year. But I will try and do next week's, assuming I can get back in time from where I am going to be. That's it. As usual, any questions, you can go to the website and send me an email or a message via the website. Join the WhatsApp group to get updates all the time. Otherwise, good luck with your trading. It's been an okay week for me, not as good as last week. I'm a little bit blind as to what to do next in terms of the next couple of trades. It will all be, I think, a lot clearer by Tuesday, but no trades for me today. I'm just going to let it all settle down and we'll see where it is. Okay, thanks for coming along and good luck with your trading. See you next week.